Hi, this is Var from Scrappy Mania, and today I'm going to unbox my stamping wheel, and this is from Altenew. I did get it from Simon Said Stamp, and I also got a 10% off because I subscribed to their email, so I got it on a little discount. It's usually $99, and they put it in a nice padded envelope. And then, as you can see, oh, they have something else here too. I got a little card. It's just giving me a little bit more about Simon Said Stamp. And then it comes in this package. So I'm going to go ahead and open the package. And it looks like it's well padded in here. So let's see. You can also use this box to store it, and I think that's what I'm going to use the box for. I'm going to keep it stored in here. So I'm going to open this up, and then it has some instructions here, and it says, pro tip, use enamel dot to mark one or more for the corners of your flip plate. This will make it easier for you to position the plate correctly after inking and serve as a guide for rotating stamping. And then here it has remove all components from the box. It looks like you get 3 pieces. And then remove the photopolymer sticky mat and from the acetate and place it on the wheel, base 3, which is the bottom one, and then remove the cloudy film that's on flip plate, and then start creating. So here is a Q code that we can go ahead and stamp or go ahead and view. So I'm going to go ahead and use that Q code, and it's going to take you to their YouTube channel and how to use that. So that's what this Q code does. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to remove this. I don't need that. Here's my plate. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it out of the package. And it has some grid, so I don't know if that grid, it's actually the paper here. I think it's part of this paper is that you have the grid. Okay. So I'm going to remove this. It says instructions, remove the polymer sticky mat from the acetate sheet and then place it on your stamping wheel face down. So we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to remove this piece, throw it away. Pull this out. I'm going to remove this. Actually, I'm going to leave this here because if I'm going to store it, I think I'm going to store it like so it won't move around. So I'm going to put that aside. And then it has this cloudy piece, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that cloudy film, and I believe it's on 2 sides. So here's one, no, actually it's just one side, and the other side does not have it, so remove that. Then you're going to remove your sheet here, and you may want to save that to put it on top, and then remove the backing here. Actually, I wonder if we can put this right down. No, you're going to have to remove it. Just remove this piece off. It's not going to work, so leave it on. I was just thinking about the grids and the marking, but it's probably best to just remove the whole thing. And I think maybe future version they should put markings at the bottom that corresponds to the marking of your mat. Okay, let me pull this up. I didn't lay it down correctly. Okay. So you have a bumpy side, and then you have a smooth side on the other side. So this is smooth. So you can either put the smooth side up and it'll work the same, or you can put the bumpy side up. So whichever you want to use. Okay, there you go. And then here is my plate. Then you have the cross, there's a cross stitch or cross, so you want to, right in the middle, I don't know if you can see that. Let me get something, maybe help you see it. So see how you have like a cross section? Let's see if I have a darker cardstock. Let's use this one. Okay, now I think you can see it. See that cross? So you want to make sure you keep the cross north and south. So this is going to be my top. This is going to be my bottom. And it says you can put a little enamel dot on here if you want to. Let me go ahead and get some enamel dots for that. So I found some enamel dots. I may want to put the bigger ones, so let me just get the bigger ones. Like this one. Put that up here. On each side. Too bad I don't have an extra one of these, the smaller ones. And then we can put the smaller ones at each corner. I'm going to skip one. So that way, let me pull this aside. So these are my main one and these are the little ones, so that when I'm doing the wheel, so if I'm stamping a wheeled, like if I'm using a stamp to create a reef, that I know this is my north, these are my east and west, and see, it will, then these are my cross hatch, so I can know that if I put this here, this one here, these will be exactly the opposites. I don't have different color enamel dots, so this is what I'm going to use. Okay. And it is a tight fit, actually. It's a nice tight fit, and you got to push it down. So it's very tight fit. And then to lift it up, and I'm going to test each of them. So make sure you push it down. Yeah, it is a tight fit. So you got to push it down. So let's get some piece of paper, and then I'm going to get a stamp, and then we're going to test two types of stamp with this, and I'm also going to test the same thing with this one. So let's compare these two on impressions. Okay, so I got my two stamps and my ink. So I'm going to try this stamp, which is a rubber stamp. And then I'm going to try this other stamp that I got on Amazon, which is an acrylic stamp. Okay, so we're going to see how well these two perform on the stamping wheel. But first, we're going to try it in what I already have, which is my Stamperfect. And it could be any of your stamping platforms. So I'm going to go ahead. Now I did use, this is similar to the sticky mat that you have with the stamping wheel. And it's an Amazon. The only thing is, see, it's smaller. So this is a 7x7, which this is a way smaller. And the size for this, it's 5.5 by 7. So it's a 5x7 that you have here. While this one, it's a 7x7. But it works the same. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down my paper. Let's go ahead. And this also washes, same as the stamping wheel, it washes with water. So you can use a spray bottle and a microfiber rag to clean it up. So I'm going to go ahead and first use what I have here. And I'm using just a regular stamp, and I'm going to stamp this with some of this Versa Clear black ink. And this is called Versa Fine Clear Nocturnal. Okay. Stamp it down. It's pretty good. There's some missed areas. So let's restamp it, mainly in the middle. And then I'm going to target more the middle, like here. It's where it didn't give me a good impression. So let's look at this. And right here, it's just not, you can see where there's still some ink there. So I'm just going to press it down. And there's still a little bit of ink up here, I noticed. And there. So I think I'm good enough. So look at that one, and that is with the rubber stamp, rubber cling stamp. Okay. Now I'm going to try it, the same thing, but this time I'm using this acrylic stamp. Let's go ahead and lay down my paper. Let's go ahead and place my image. So I like this, like this. I like this area. So you see the different, this area is what I really like, so I'm going to get this onto my card. And let me bring my card over a little more so that way I give it some breath here. So that way this is not right against the hinge, so I don't want that against my hinge. And this is what I have down. Okay, looks good. Gonna pick it up. I'm gonna ink my whole stamp. This would be very, very pretty with using some gold embossing ink, like something like this. That'll look very nice. Areas I missed, as you can see, some areas here and there. So I'm going to re-ink this. It's always hard to get a good impression with these big, large stamps. Now that looks good. So there's a nice impression. Okay. One of the thing is, this is, you know, you have a 5.5 by 8. It's kind of restricted. So the size here is about 5.5 or 5.25 by 7. So you know, you cannot use this big 6 by 6. This is too small for 6 by 6 if you want to get a 6 by 6 panel. That's one of the disadvantages of this stamping platform. But I do love the sticky grid that it has. I really am liking what I got on Amazon. And then to clean it, just wet it. Take a microfiber rag and clean it like a regular stamp. Like so. Look how easy it is to clean. It will be sticky again. You let it dry and look, it sticks again. It's sticky again. You hear that noise? That means it's still sticky. So that's how easy you can clean these things up. The advantage of having this sticky grid sorry about that, this sticky grid is that eventually over time this stickiness will go away and you may need to restick it or do whatever you need to do. I'm not sure, I haven't washed it, so I don't know. They say that you can wash it and it returns the stickiness. I'm not 100% sure that is the case, so that is why I like this better, because I think on longevity this is going to last a long time and it's going to be very good. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back. See, this is one of my sticky mats that I made, and it lost its stickiness already. So I leave it here but you don't need this. So once you get this, I haven't used this, but I don't feel like chucking it away, throwing it away, because maybe eventually in the future I may need it. I don't know. But that is why I have that there. But you really don't need it. So now let's go ahead and look at this. So the advantage on this from my other is that it's 7 by 7. So you have a larger surface. As you can see, this will fit a nice 6 by 6. So I can stamp an all over pattern on a larger cardstock. So I do like it. So let's go ahead and bring cardstock over. I'm going to go ahead and clean this stamp because I want to go ahead and lay it down, and I don't want this ink to transfer into my cardstock, white cardstock. This is a polymer mat. So it grabs onto anything. As you can see, a little smudge got on here, and I cannot even pick it up. Okay, so I picked it up with my tweezers. So I don't have any grid underneath it, but the other one doesn't have a grid either, so I can just do the best that I can and center it. Then I'm going to go ahead and center my stamp on top of that. Using my larger, so this is going to be my north, and if I had a different color dot, that will work. And I'm trying to make sure is a little more difficult for this one. So let's go ahead and put it upside down. You may need to do it this way, like so. Okay, and then, oops. Well, let's see if it picks it up. That's the only thing I'm having issues is with getting it right in the right, so if I have it in the right position, you're going to have a little bit of issue. But I'm going to go ahead, so there, I'm going to pick it up, turn it upside down. Ink it up. It may not be the best stamping tool for rubber stamps. But let's see. Because you really need to get it in the groove and it's touching. I think it's going to smear. So this is not the best one for rubber. See, it's smeared. It is not the best. So I would not recommend using this stamping platform for rubber stamps because you got to get it just on the groove. It doesn't hover on top of the paper. It actually hits the paper and I haven't even pushed it down. So no, and see it double stamping. So don't, so it is not good for rubber stamp, and I don't think anybody has commented on that on YouTube. So I may be the first one to say, if you have a lot of these rubber clean stamp, do not use it. It's not good for that. Okay, so that is not good. But let's go ahead and look at this other one. Oh, let me clean it. To get all the ink off. Lay it down. The advantage of that, I can get more of the stamp on here because I have a bigger area that I can move the stamp better than when I was using my small one because you don't have a big area. But that gets resolved if you have a bigger stamping tool like so. So if you have the We Are Memory, no issue with that. You'll be able to use the whole thing. If you have the Craftsburg Companion, no issue with that. You can use the whole thing. It's just when you have what I have right now. This little one is the one I use most often. Is the little one. Than that big, than any of my other stamping tools. Just because it's smaller and it fits in my screen better. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this one out. Okay, so it has to fit in. It's a tight fit, actually. It's a very tight fit. There's no wiggle room, which may be a good thing because there's no wiggle room, so it's going to go ahead and hit the paper in the right place. So let's see how well it works. It performs. Okay, push it down. So the material of your mat down here, down on this is the same material as your polymer stamps. Same material, so it will stain. You can wash it the same way you wash your polymer stamping or the acrylic stamps. It's the same way you can clean this. But just to let you know, it will stain. And then I even lost one of my little dots. So I don't know about these dots, if it's a good idea or not. So I lost that dot. Don't need it. I think I'm going to take the dots off from each side and just leave top and bottom these. Okay? And then you're going to push it down, push it down. And I'm just checking for double stamping. Okay? And then pull it up. Okay, let's evaluate this. Then to clean this, before we evaluate this one, let's go ahead and clean this stamp, so the plate. So just put a little bit of water and just clean it up. You can use your chamois, will work as well. And if you want to keep it real clean, you can probably run it underwater. There you go. But it is going to stain, because already right now, see, it has a little bit of stain right there. So this is going to stain. The good thing about the one that I have from Amazon is that it's black, so you don't see the stain. It's probably stained, but you don't see it, which is not a big deal for me. But if you like to keep your stamps nice and clean, then you may need to get, instead of water, use a cleaner to make sure you remove all the ink. But again, if you're using archival ink, pigment ink, any of those inks, it's going to stain that stamp. It's going to stain the base. Okay. So there. Okay. I'm going to throw away these dots. They were not useful. I'm just going to leave the four corners. And I may lose them at the end. I may just continue, one will remain. But you can also use a marker, so you can also make a circle with a magic marker. So let's evaluate. Okay, so with my stupendous, I was able to get, oops, wrong here, with my Stamperfect platform. It works very well for these rubber stamps. You don't see any double image. This one, and with the stamping wheel, you do, because the clearance is not, see, look at that. Even putting it on here, see, there's no clearance at all. So when you put it on, it's going to make contact with the paper immediately once you put the ink on it. There's no clearance like you get here. Here there's a little clearance, because once you lay it down, you have to close the lid and then it picks it up. So it stays in the right place. And that goes for this, because this picks up. You can lay it down, pick it up, and then push it down. So these work very well with cling rubber stamps. This, I recommend you do not use it with clean rubber stamps. You won't get the correct impressions. The other thing is it's going to stain, because this sticky mat it's basically a big acrylic block. It's exactly this that they made it big, and it's sticky. It says poly, it's whatever they call it. That there's two type of acrylic stamps. You get the polymer whatever type, and then you get the cheaper one. That's why sometimes you go to Michael's and you get those stamps in the dollar bin, and they're, after a while, they don't even stay, they lose some of the stickiness, and you have to wash it or or press it down really hard on your acrylic so it will grab on. This one, the higher end stamps tend to be stickier and longevity are better than the poor quality. So this is a high quality material. So not very good with rubber stamp. Now if you're using just plain acrylic stamp, perfect. As you can see, this is nice and crisp. There's no double stamping, and I can manipulate it easier, so I can position wherever I want this. So if I do it here, I can move around my stamp to get the areas that I want. Okay, for this one, it's not as easy to move around in a smaller area because, you know, you're going to hit against the hinges here. So you only have, it's not as easy. I guess if you put the paper this way, you can go up and down easier, but not sideways, which is another possibility. You can put your paper this way. So if you put your paper this way, then you can do the same thing. You just figure out what you want of this stamp, up and down, up and down. So yeah, you can do it. It's just you can't put the paper this side to do that. So my view, so this is my overall impression with the stamping wheel, is that it does a good job of stamping with acrylic stamp. So if you have these acrylic stamp, it's going to work very, very well. Which Altenew, all their stamps are acrylic. They don't have rubber stamps. Now if you do have the rubber cling stamps, you can't use it because you see it here. There's not a clearance to accommodate that foam. I guess you can peel it off the foam and then edit your stamp so that way it doesn't have this foam and it will act more like a acrylic stamp. The other thing the good thing about the stamping wheel is that you don't need, there's no sticky residue or adhesive. You don't need magnets at all. So when you use magnets on this, sometimes it gets in the way of your stamping, your pressure. So you have to be moving the magnets around depending where you want your image. And it's not the greatest. So that's why I went ahead and purchased this and using this little sticky mat. That way I don't have to use any magnets, so it fits well. So as a big sticky mat, and it's washable. You can, if it starts getting dust, you can easily clean it and you restore the life to it. The bad part about this is that it's going to stain. So if you're using archival ink, just know that your mat is going to stain. They are selling it. I went on the site and they are selling replacement mats for this. And according to what I read, it's less sticky than this one. It says less sticky than the original mat here. But they say that you use it for stamping. You can use it for your stencils and things like that. So you can get replacements on this. The overall impression on the tool, I do like it, and I like it, and it's mainly for better techniques on rotation. So if I want to do a reef, I think this is going to work very well for making reefs. But other than that, if you're not going to make reefs, then I recommend you just stick with what you have, and the Stamperfect should work pretty well, or the other ones that you have, because if you only can afford one stamping platform, the more for your buck will be the ones that you can use the rubber stamp. And actually my favorite one of all stamping tools that I have so far, because I can do anything with it, is my Crafter's Companion, because it's huge. I do have big stamps. I can use it. It hovers on top pretty far up on my paper, as you can see there, so I can use my rubber mats, my rubber stamps if I want to. And then I can outfit this with a sticky grid and it will do the same thing. The only thing is I'm going to have to replace the sticky grid as it gets dirty and stuff. Well, this one you don't have to replace it. But that is my recommendation. I hope you found this video useful. And you know, they don't have videos on how to use this with this, so maybe I'm using it wrong, but you can't use rubber stamps with this stamping platform. So I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.